beating the heat, or is the heat beating us? We're on the verge of those sweltering summer temperatures. Senior neighborhood news reporter Suzanne Stevens shows us what you need to know to make sure your HVAC is ready to go. Plus, a new scam making its way around Claiborne County, so you might want to check your inbox. Neighborhood news reporter Michaela Chavez shares a few tips on how to avoid these scams and the warning from officials. And President Trump's tariffs take effect immediately, with U.S. business picking up the tab. We'll show you how the new tariffs could impact you in your neighborhood. Chris 6 News starts right now. And we thank you for joining us. I'm Andy Lascano. We now know the name of the man involved in today's officer-involved shooting in northwest Nueces County. Happened about 9 this morning in Blunser. The Nueces County Sheriff's Office tells us a DPS trooper was making a routine traffic stop when the suspect, Rob Thomas Garza, sped off to the Sandy Hollow subdivision. Garza then shot at the state trooper, and an officer returned fire, striking Garza, who was taken to the hospital and remains in critical condition. No one else was hurt, and as for the trooper involved, he's been placed on administrative leave. The Texas Rangers are leading the investigation. Well, higher temperatures than normal are making some folks get their HVAC system in tip-top shape as they brace for the summer heat, as we're very familiar with around here. Neighborhood news reporter Suzanne Stevens followed an HVAC technician with Bodine Scott to get the lowdown on keeping both your maintenance and bills down. The tech recommends changing filters every month and having your system checked twice a year by a professional. One tip the tech said is something you can do in very little time.
Helps out to clean your condenser coils. You had to bring out the hose out here with a lightly sprayed water and rinse off the coils on the outside.
Steve Govea says being proactive and taking steps like these can improve your system's efficiency and extend its lifespan.
Well, good afternoon there, Coastal Bend. Diamond Dixon here with the live look outside our CCAC camera overlooking a good old portion of Snoopy's Pier. We could see those winds really carrying that water. We have some gusty winds in store today that are actually going to last through Friday. So our current conditions here in Corpus Christi, well, we're at 87 degrees, although we feel like 96. So we feel about 10 degrees warmer than what it actually is outside. We do have that south wind, though, moving in at 29 miles per hour, but with wind gusts 39 miles per hour. So think about 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts. It's going to carry some water, and it might even blow you around just a little bit if you're outside. Current temperature is still hanging out in the 80s along the coast. In the middle of our neighborhoods, we're seeing the 90s, and still further inland, we're seeing that triple-digit weather, and that's our actual temperatures. That's not even our feels like. So imagine our neighbors out in the west and more inland probably feeling like 115. So we're going to have a warm week ahead up until Friday. All of your full forecasts coming up.
Have you checked your email recently? If you have, you might have gotten something like this. I'm Michaela Chavez, your neighborhood news reporter in Claiborne County. Scams like this have been popping up a lot recently, and that's why officials urge you to be on the lookout.
It definitely happens to your friends, to your neighbors.
Scams. We've all seen them.
It happens every day, and there are millions of dollars lost.
As I was scrolling through social media, I ran into this post.
This is something that we are seeing often. We were seeing it actually at the BBB as well. We were targeted with this particular scam.
A warning for neighbors in Claiborne County.
They're sending the email to people. It's usually in a work environment, but it doesn't have to be in a work environment, and saying that they're sending you this document that needs to be opened.
I reached out to Katie Galan with the Better Business Bureau about this. She called it the imposter scam.
They're impersonating actual legitimate organizations or entities like, the Sheriff's Department or the City of Corpus Christi.
It shows up as a Dropbox DocSend email. Galan says they've seen this over the last month, but it's not new.
We'll see it a lot for probably the next few weeks, maybe a couple of months, and then it'll disappear, and then we'll see something else.
And while it might look legit,
You'll see little nuances.
Pay attention to things like misspellings.
The proper name would have, an O, for instance, and the scammer will put a 0.
That's one way Claiborne County neighbor Carolyn Simon says she can spot a scam.
We watch out for one another.
She says if she doesn't catch it right away, her husband will.
You don't send any money over your cell phone. You don't text to people about what you have or who you are.
She says the best thing to do is avoid replying to anyone you don't know.
I think especially as we get older, sometimes we forget those things. And so it's just being aware.
And if you're unsure, you can always call the organization or person who it came from to double check. And one final tip from the Better Business Bureau: hover to discover. Hover your cursor over whatever it is that you're being sent to see if it's a legit and secure site that you're being taken to. With your neighborhood news in Claiborne County, I'm Michaela Chavez at Chris 6 News.
All right, Michaela, good information there. Now, the White House says President Trump's tariffs will take effect immediately, with U.S. businesses picking up the tab. They say altogether, its tariffs could bring in $6 trillion of revenue over a decade. That would be the largest tax increase in U.S. history, even adjusted for inflation. The Senate set to vote on a resolution aimed at blocking the duties on Canadian goods. And economists say tariffs benefit certain domestic manufacturers by landing them more business. But on the flip side, that's why they can hurt international producers. Some countries say they're preparing to retaliate. There is some good news about the cost of eggs. They may finally be giving shoppers a break. According to the Department of Agriculture, wholesale eggs dropped to $3 a dozen. That's a 9% decline from the week prior, but the American Farm Bureau says the lower costs come from noticeably fewer bird flu cases. Another factor? Well, consumers have been buying fewer eggs, which has helped stores restock. However, despite the cost decrease, egg prices actually remain historically high. The Consumer Price Index says they're nearly 59% more expensive than they were this time 1 year ago.
Fixing streets across Corpus Christi has been top of mind for city leaders. I'm Alexis Scott, your neighborhood news reporter, with a look at the city's residential streets program and a sigh of relief from neighbors.
And you might be feeling the heat, but it's actually hasn't been the hottest day of the year so far. Meteorologist Diamond Dixon going to give us a check of the weather on this hot and humid spring evening, and whether we've broken another record. That is coming up.
At some point, we've all complained about the streets in our neighborhood. That's why the city is fixing several of them. I'm Alexis Scott, your neighborhood news reporter, near Metro Corpus Christi, where neighbors tell me these repairs have made their commutes a lot easier.
Well, Blevins was a pretty good street when we moved in, but until recently, it would fill full of potholes.
Gerald Simpson and his wife have lived near Blevins Street for more than 30 years. Before recent repairs, Simpson says the roads were a mess and hard to navigate.
Well, you had to just kind of go back and forth across the street in certain spots.
As part of the city's rapid pavement program, city leaders are prioritizing residential streets. Rather than putting a quick Band-Aid on these roads, crews have been completely repairing them. Some of the streets getting a facelift include Moon Drive, Greenview Drive, Tobin Drive, and Lamont Drive. Simpson says the quick turnaround is what actually impressed him.
And they did a good job. It appears it's a lot smoother. And to my surprise, it took them about a week and a half, which normally would have taken them probably 3 or 4 weeks.
The city's Public Works Department says they're about 75% done with major residential street repairs. Several other road projects are expected to be completed by the beginning of fall 2025. Simpson says he hopes city leaders continue to prioritize fixing residential streets, as well as adding more safety measures for speeders in the area. Near Metro Corpus Christi, I'm your neighborhood news reporter, Alexis Scott, Chris 6 News.
All right, Alexis, thanks for that report. CCISD receiving grant funding to help improve the dual enrollment partnership with Del Mar College. Celebration of the partnership held today at King High School. More than $569,000 in grant funding will help students access early college coursework and improve district-wide systems that target early college and dual enrollment curriculum. The goal of the grant is to also increase the number of students enrolled in early college coursework.
This grant has allowed me to be in the health program and be able to be more prepared for when I enter the medical field when I'm in college.
The Coastal Bend's been selected as a priority region as nearly 80% of the students who benefit from these grants are from disadvantaged backgrounds.
Well, now it's time to take a look at some traffic along SPID there. Cars seem to be moving pretty smooth in the 5 o'clock hour. We'll take a look at our local roadways and see just how we're doing this evening. All right, well, we're seeing a lot of green. I always say green is good. From Portland to the Harbor Bridge, we're looking good. It's moving along fast. Minor slowdowns along Ocean Drive. We just saw SPID on that Skycam. Also looking good out there commute-wise. And even Saratoga's looking good. There is a slowdown north of Airline Drive as well as north of South Staples Street and a little bit there, maybe on the other side of Castores, but for the most part, we're actually looking pretty good. Maybe the kids are well out of school right now. Now, there is a slowdown along Waldron Road and Flower Bluff Drive, and the JFK Causeway is also looking good this evening. Well, that's it for your traffic report. I'll have your full weather report just ahead. Welcome back there, Coastal Bend. Meteorologist Diamond Dixon here with a live look outside our What a Sky Cam. Overlooking that soon-to-be complete New Harbor Bridge. Looks a little cloudy from this view, but it is gusty outside with those winds, and it is warm. Looking at temperatures and feels likes across our neighborhoods, we're into the upper 70s and low 80s along the coast, and at 87 here in Corpus Christi, 85 for Ingleside, but in the 90s in this middle region right here, 91 Beeville as well as Robstown, 94 for Mathis, 93 for Kingsville, and 102 for Alice, 103 for San Diego. Y'all are really feeling the heat this evening, I tell you that. Well, hopefully soon you'll get a little bit of relief when that sun goes down, but those south-southeast winds are coming in at 29 miles per hour here in Corpus Christi, 30 for the Naval Air Station. Also 29 for Ingleside, 22 for Kingsville. I mean, it helps move the heat along just a little bit, especially though with wind gusts. We're at almost 50 miles per hour with wind gusts headed into 6 o'clock, and we keep a strong wind pattern well through our overnight hours into our Thursday afternoon as well. So you can expect those winds to stay picked up through about Friday. Now, our Chris 6 Neighborhood Weather Network here, Tempest. Well, we're going to take a look at some south side temps. Not looking so bad, though. Still about in the mid-80s for most of our neighbors out there. And if we take a look at some of those peak winds in Beeville, 27 at Hilltop Road, 23 at FM 504, and with wind gusts almost double that value. Hour by hour, once again, we're keeping our windy pattern well through the night. We'll come out of the 80s just around 8 tonight. That's crazy to say, isn't it? I know. Keeping that strong wind pattern as well, like I said, in the 20s, we'll be at 77 degrees just by 11 o'clock, still riding out in the mid-70s even into our Thursday morning. So we're going to have a few warm days. Now, the past 10 hours, we started off in the mid-70s. We hit into the 90s today for our high, and now we're still in the upper 80s to about mid-80s for our neighborhoods in Corpus Christi. We hit a high, though, of 93 degrees, but we didn't break record. We were close, Andy, 95. Though back in 1982, but we were just 2 degrees off there. Now, if we're looking at those forecast highs and records, yeah. So today would have been 95. Tomorrow's looking 94, and I'm thinking we might hit 93. So tomorrow's going to be quite of a tie. We're going to see how well we do. Now, forecast high temperatures, though, we're going to be above normal until Sunday because our next cold front moves through Saturday afternoon and evening. That will drop our temperatures into Sunday, and then we return eventually to some above normal temperatures, but for the most part, we'll get a few days with temperatures that'll feel right where we should be in the season. But that chance of rain is what we're probably all wondering. Well, there's a possibility for some showers to really kick off Saturday, a little bit of Sunday ahead of that cold front. So that's going to be our next opportunity. Other than that, up until that point, we are dry and we're a little bit humid and muggy. So that's what we have to look forward to. As far as, of course, the next 7 days, once again, we have to get through 2 more days of warm and windiness before we get into our cold front pushing through into Saturday. dropping those temperatures to seasonal values for the remainder of the week into Tuesday.
All right, Diamond Dixon, thanks for that. You know, it's the only grocery store in Port Aransas. You can't miss it when you drive in on Allister. It's on the left-hand side. It's getting new owners. It's the Family Center IGA on Allister. It's been what neighbors call a staple in the Port Aransas community for more than a decade. But we found out today that the regional supermarket called Lowe's Market will take over next month. Neighborhood News reporter Erin Holly, there she is, stopped by to talk to neighbors about the switch. One person tells us it's bittersweet.
I would just like to see it kept, the same family values that it's always been, and I hope they keep the staff, and I hope we don't see a whole lot of changes. I know that's inevitable, but I'd just like to see them keep the key players here.
Michael Hall, one of the current co-owners of Family Center IGA, said all current staff is welcomed and encouraged to stick around, stay on staff. The switch in ownership happens May 8th. All right, so there's a new coffee shop in the Bay Area. It's been getting some fanfare, and the coffee shop made a donation to a local hospital. It's called 7 Brew Coffee, and today they held their grand opening for their second location. This one's off Alameda and Texan Trail. Been open for a little over a week now, but the coffee chain took the opportunity to announce itself with a $2,000 donation to Driscoll Children's Hospital.
Driscoll and these surrounding hospitals are really the heart of the city, and we pride ourselves in cultivating kindness, and we thought what better way to serve than to serve those people who serve us the most.
7 Brew, open from 5:30 in the morning till 10 at night every day. You can learn more about 7 Brew on our website, christv.com.
I'm John Mattery's. Theme parks keep getting more and more expensive, but we talked to some travel experts who show how you can still enjoy the attractions and stick to a budget.
You're watching Chris 6, part of the Scripps News Group.
So Disney has raised prices for many of its park tickets this year, but theme park tickets in general have only gone up. Scripps News Group consumer reporter John Matteries turned to one travel expert for her savings tips so you don't waste your money.
Whether you're going all in at Disney and Universal or just enjoying your local theme park, it can feel like you are spending a fortune these days. But luckily, there are ways to enjoy the attractions and stick to a budget.
Leslie Sawhook loved visiting Disney and Universal so much.
Still love a trip to Universal. I do. I can't wait to go in May.
That she's now a travel agent. She says Disney World's recent move to dynamic pricing means you should visit when prices dip.
Since it is so hot, honestly, in the summer, you're going to have the lowest pricing.
Or anytime kids are in school.
If you can pull them out of school and do like your fall break, you're going to save a lot of money and have less crowds.
At many parks, families can save by booking at a nearby hotel or vacation rental rather than staying on site. In some cases, though, the on-site hotel can be worth it. At Universal Studios, for example, there are perks like getting into the park early.
Universal, if you stay on one of their 3 on-site hotels, you're going to have that unlimited express pass, which is great.
Other ways to save, according to Discover.com, pack lunch and snacks if the park lets them in, or you can go back to the car. Bring essentials like sunscreen and sunglasses that are more expensive inside the park, and search for discounts on tickets at your grocery store or membership clubs like AAA and Sam's Club, which currently advertises discounts at Disney, Universal, Legoland, and Busch Gardens. If you're just looking for thrill rides, Sawhook says stick with regional parks and never buy tickets at the gate.
Get your tickets early and online.
Depending how often you go, she says a season pass can be the better deal, and that way you don't waste your money. John Matteries, Scripps News Group.
All right, John, thanks as always. Good information there. Now, don't go anywhere because this next story might just be your jam. We'll just say it's better late than never. Plus, Diamond Dixon gives us one more look at the forecast when we come back.
You're watching Chris 6, part of the Scripps News Group.
All right, so neighbors are buzzing about the 100th anniversary of the Bee And no, we're not talking about honey. It's the Scripps National Spelling Bee celebrating its 100th anniversary this year. 78 spellers from 78 schools across South Texas will compete for the chance to go to the national competition in Washington, D.C. next month. The regional spelling bee will be held in Flower Bluff ISD's auditorium, and you can watch it right here on Chris TV this Saturday at 6 p.m. Let me be the first to tell you and wish you a happy National Peanut Butter and Jelly Day.
Oh, I love PB&Js.
There you go.
You know, Uncrustables are kind of undefeated for me. But you can make them at home for less, okay? I need to stop spending so much. Well, we talked about our forecast, of course, and how our temperatures are looking.
Caliente.
We're having, of course, some above normal temperatures also tomorrow and Friday. So we got to make it through 2 more days before that cold front pushes through Saturday afternoon into the evening. Dropping our temps.
You were putting some triple digits up there on your map during your full forecast.
Oh, yeah.
Triple digits.
Sure did.